Welcome back, everybody in the chat. Let me know that you can hear me. Let me know that you can see me, that everything sounds crisp. With us today, we are graced with the presence of the one, the only Adham from Woodward Sports Network. How you doing, my guy?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me on, Jay. Big fan.
Yeah, man, listen, are you kidding me? This is the best, because I've come on your show twice. It was awesome, and you're always there. You're always supporting me through everything I'm doing. So I really do appreciate you and you being here tonight.
Yeah, man,
Everybody
of course,
else. Oh, sorry. Go for it.
Yeah, go ahead. Oh, I
Nah.
was just saying, of course. I mean, anything for you, man. It's you don't even need to invite me. You just tell me when and where.
You know what? You're always super kind. You always compliment my hair. But I got to tell you, I was thinking about it. Jeff, your counterpart in the morning, that guy's got a good head of hair.
That's why we kicked him off. Yeah, Jeff's got some insane hair. I always yell at him when he wears a hat. I'm like, dude, people would die for your hair. Are you serious?
Let it flow. You got to let it flow, man.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody in the chat, thank you for being here tonight. As I said, Adham from Woodward Sports Network is here. We're going to talk a little bit draft. We're going to talk a little 2021, 2022 in review. 21 in review, 22 in the future. Just want to say, hey, how's it going, everybody? I see Ian Saunders out there, Aaron John, Dr. Wolfman. Wow, we got a crew in here tonight. My guy, Matthew, enjoying all of the collaborations. Matthew, hey. You're welcome. Glad to do it. So, Adham, obviously, we are within the 30-day window of the draft. And so that's something that I really wanted to kind of get into. And had a bunch of people reaching out to me regarding the Joel Klatt. And I saw that you put something out about Joel Klatt. I watched it was like 15 minutes. I watched that. It was superb. That's what we're going to get into later. But for now, this year in review, let me just ask you, when Brad Holmes was originally hired, when Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes, all of this started to shake out, what were some of your initial thoughts regarding them coming here to Detroit?
Originally with Brad Holmes, I was so excited. Somebody that came from the Los Angeles Rams organization, obviously a very well-established front office, someone who had a football scouting player personnel background. I thought that was such an integral part of my excitement for Brad Holmes. To be honest with you, I was not excited about Daniel Campbell. It just didn't fit what the current NFL model is. You go out and grab somebody's OC, you go and get the young offensive assistant, and he was really not any of that. But to be honest with you, as the year and 4 or 5 months have gone on now since he's been hired, I'm feeling a lot better about him. I don't think he's out of the water, but he's definitely someone that's had to earn my respect, given I've been subjected to nothing but garbage head coaching for the last 28 years of my life.
Yes, no, dude, I think that's all spot on. Specifically Brad Holmes, for me, that was one of the biggest ones, was looking at the organization that he was coming from, and there was just a lot of excitement to say, wow, he was a part of that talent scouting process that found, or really was like, let's get the Aaron Donald, the Cooper Kupp, these guys that are huge now in LA that have made immediate impact. And so with that being said, you look at the last draft, 2021, as we started to roll up to 21, the draft, Brad Holmes, how did you feel about, who did you want selected first overall last year? Were you on a Penei Sewell train?
So I really wasn't doing a show back at Woodward Sports at the time, but I was appearing on as a guest every once in a while just to kind of chime in. I was big on Rashawn Slater and Micah Parsons. Those were the two I fought back and forth with at number 7. And I was never really on the Penei Sewell train because I just didn't think he'd ever be available.
Ooh.
I really thought that was a lock to Cincinnati. And, we did mock drafts. I always said Micah Parsons. I always said Rashawn Slater. And then I would say the week before the draft, we had our final mock draft that we did, and I was a guest on, and I was selecting for the Lions at 7. And it just so happened that Penei Sewell did fall in that version. And I still took Rashawn Slater, honest to God truth. I did take Rashawn Slater over Penei Sewell. But those were the two players I was all over. You had to get them. It was that, or I would burn down my house.
Hey, listen, Lions fan, one Paulie LFP. Thank you for the donation. Adam, he said he'd die for your beard. So that says a lot about you, man.
It is maintenance. I'll tell you that. I have the beard oil. I have that brush that you got to brush down the beard. My wife hates it, loves it sometimes. It's complicated.
And hey, that's fair. I can't grow a beard. It's not in the genes. So, I mean, I'm glad somebody on this show can. Yeah, man. I think looking at, okay, so you're looking at last year, Penei Sewell. We end up selecting him because I, too, wanted Micah Parsons. I was big on Micah Parsons. However, because just like you, I literally was like, if Cincinnati does not take Penei Sewell, I don't know what's going on. And really, you see where a lot of those problems, even though they made it to the Super Bowl, that O-line was bad. I think they couldn't have made it to the Super Bowl without Jamar Chase. However, to sustain long-term, you need that O-line. So, as a whole last year, when you look at the draft, how would you grade Brad Holmes? How would you grade the coaching staff and how we did in those selections, all 7 of them, if you had to give them a letter grade?
Prior to the season, so right after the draft, I gave the original draft a C+ to B- because I did not like the back-to-back interior lineman play. I thought it was a bit much. I thought it was a reach. Penei Sewell was a home run because he fell to you at 7. Well, I mean, what do? That is insane. And then, of course, the receiver, everybody wanted a receiver. I wasn't really too concerned because I always felt this team was a 3 to 5 win team. And it didn't matter if they had 4 first-round picks last year. It was not going to turn it around. So when they took Amon-Ra St. Brown, of course, do the due diligence, go check him out. A little shifty, nice, quick with his feet. You like it. And you're like, all right, well, if he's 500-600 yards this year, that would be phenomenal. And, of course, he does much more than that. And he really comes on down the stretch, and he's starting to look like potentially a number 1, realistically probably a number 2, who knows, but I don't think that's important right now. But that was the psychological what's Adam thinking right after that draft. I didn't like it outside of Penei Sewell. Barnes was okay. I liked, it was the 2 interior linemen that threw me off. That outside of that, I thought it was a good. I thought they addressed some needs. I liked Jamar Jefferson in the 7th round. I was like, wow, you pick up a running back that has some pretty decent speed, and you do that in the 7th round. I'll take it. Running back is all about having fresh legs, and behind that O line, I thought it was a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I agree. You know what, Amon-Ra St. Brown, I think there was like this looming feeling in Detroit of being like, we know we're not getting a wide receiver. We know that's not happening early, at least. And when he was selected, I don't know about you, I just sort of held my breath because I was like, I don't know enough about this guy. Like, I had to do my digging, really had to find out what I could about him because I was just like, I don't know if this guy's going to pan out in the way that we really need in a receiver, in the capacity for a receiver in the future. And obviously, like you said, down the stretch, St. Brown really, we saw his emergence. However, I feel like that emergence could not have come forth if not for the injuries and lack of wide receivers in Detroit.
Of course, and on top of that, really, I give it all to the young man that we promoted to offensive coordinator. I mean, Ben Johnson for me was the diamond in the rough solution slash finding throughout this disastrous season, because it was 3-13-1. You started off 0-8. You looked like dog shit for the first 6, 7, 8 games of the year. You lose some close ones. It was tough, man. And a lot of people got on me. You're a bit too hard. I'm like, dude, you're 0-8. Like, what am I supposed to do? I
Yeah.
wish you were 8-0. I wish you were 5-3. Believe me, I wish you were 6-2. But the reality was they had no idea what the hell they were doing. Anthony Lynn looked way in over his head. I just don't think
Yeah.
him and Dan Campbell ever meshed. And I think Dan Campbell, what ended up coming out of that was, I think Dan Campbell offensively, schematically, was levels ahead of Anthony Lynn. That's what I learned and understood, because the moment they took over, and it was Ben Johnson, and if you want to give Deuce Staley credit, that's fine, and it was Dan Campbell, you saw the week-to-week progression, and you started to see just how they would use that offensive line, just how they would abuse that run game. And it started to come together. I have to give it credit.
Yeah, bro. I love this, man. First, dude, thank you for coming on the show, Adam. This is so good to have you.
Man.
I love hearing. This is like one of my favorite things, and the entire reason that I started this channel, a major reason, was to just meet Lions friends. And so, like, listening to you and what you saw last year, the way that you graded the draft, but where you are now, it's just so much fun. So, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. Everybody in the chat, thank you for being here. Thanks for liking the stream, because supposedly it helps. I don't know. I think it does. Maybe it does. So go ahead, like it, appreciate it. Good to see Micro Mike in the chat. Good to have you guys here. All right. So at the end of the season, because you said you were at like a B plus or a B minus C plus. Now, where you are now, being able to look hindsight 2020, if you had to give the 2021 draft class a grade, what would you grade it as?
I would give it an A plus, because I have to be realistic. I understand that there's 7 rounds in every NFL draft. I understand that you have multiple picks. But, to me, Jay, if you can walk away with 2 good football players, and one of them possibly all pro, and the other could be a pro bowler, that's a damn good draft. Even if I'm still frustrated with the 2 interior linemen, I didn't think
Sure.
Barnes played up to his potential. Even then, the fact that you got 2 football players that you're going to pin in the starting 11 every single week, that's all you can ask for. And if it gets to 3, well, that's an A plus plus. But the mindset should be 2 quality football players every single draft.
Yeah. No, you nailed it. And that's one of the most wild things is, like, for so long, Detroit can knock out of the park the first pick, other than Ebron. I mean, I don't want to go down the long road, but the first pick is easy. I would say easier to nail. But to watch Brad Holmes absolutely nail, I would say at least 5 of those guys just as starting caliber, phenomenal players by the end of the year. The amount of reps they're taking and the development that we saw within them all blew my mind. And I was like, oh, this is what a good GM looks like.
You're not wrong there. I mean, you said it perfectly. That's what a good GM looks like. A GM that can find value later on in the draft. A GM that even if he misses in the first or second round, he's getting you value somewhere else. That I've never been more confident in a GM in my lifetime than Brad Holmes.
How wild is that to say?
I mean, considering what we've had, it's not wild.
Well,
But yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm with you though. It's amazing. It really is.
it shouldn't be that wild, but to me, I'm like, when the words are coming out of my mouth, that all of a sudden I'm like, I think we're good. I think Brad Holmes is a great GM.
It's like when you have sex for the first time. You don't know what's going on. It feels good. It's like, oh my God, this is happening. I'm a king. You know, that's what happens when you're subjected to Matt Millen, Martin Mayhew. I got to give Schmidt credit back in the 90s, mid 80s, early 90s. You know, he put together some good football teams, but it never really amounted in consistent hyper success. So, yeah, it's got to be Brad Holmes.
Yeah.
And I was being my parents were having me back in the early 90s anyway, so like I don't remember.
Bro, I love it. I love it. Great comparison, by the way. Yeah, thank you everybody in the chat for hanging out, seeing all the likes, seeing all the comments. There's a lot of love for Adam, a lot of love for me. We appreciate that, everybody. Thank you for liking the stream. I'm getting a lot of draft the cocaine. I know that's your tagline these days.
That's the go-to. I need to send you a shirt, man.
Hey, listen, I'm in. I'll send you I got to send you a Let's Talk Lions hat.
Draft the cocaine shirt.
All right, done deal.
Anytime. I'll rock it on the show, man.
Oh my God, let's do it. All right, so this week we received a lot of good news in Detroit. Some of that news being Hard Knocks coming, and I say it's good news. So I'm very interested in what you think. Hard Knocks is coming. 2024, the NFL draft is coming to Detroit. 2023, this is like a subcategory, but we're looking at new uniforms. Just a lot of things going on in Detroit that it feels like Detroit is being ushered into some sort of new, it feels like a new tier in the NFL. I just wanted your thought on Hard Knocks first and foremost. How do you feel about Hard Knocks coming to the Lions?
Hard Knocks is an interesting thing, right? Because if they win football games this year, it's going to be all hugs around and drinking beers. And if they don't, like, that's just unfortunately the game of the NFL. But I do think it's an awesome opportunity to really go into this new Allen Park, this new front office, this new staff that the Detroit Lions have. I thank God Hard Knocks never came to Detroit when Matt Patricia was here. I did not want to see that fat fuck chewing out players and making everybody feel like hell. So I think it's an interesting opportunity. We saw Sheila change her name, I believe, to Sheila Hamp.
Yeah.
Again, you know, what did Domino's do when I want to say the pizza was just bad and the employees were spitting in the food? They went through this whole collective, you know, rebooting phase where they totally rebranded themselves. They totally started investing in technology, investing in marketing, trying to build back up their reputation. And of course, they had better pizza after all those years. That's what I feel like the Lions are doing. We've sucked for 58 years. All right, fine. I understand that. I think you understand that. Everybody is on the same page. They have sucked for 58 years. All right, cool. Move on. You have a GM everyone's feeling really confident in. You have a head coach that people want to play for. Does that mean they're going to win a lot of games and win Super Bowls or even win a division or even win playoff games? I can't answer that right now. And you have a good feeling. And, you know, as someone that works at a startup network and I'm involved in day-to-day operations, a majority of it, I understand how important communication is. I understand how important trust is. And when people here that work here have trust in me and are communicating efficiently with me, that means we're all succeeding in the building.
Yeah.
And I don't think that was ever the case in Allen Park. So with this new regime, if you want to call it, even though it's still the Fords, but whatever, I'll ignore that. What am I going to see in Hard Knocks that is going to possibly persuade me to get even more confident in what they're doing? Mm-hmm. That's what I'm interested in.
Okay, so all in all, you are in favor of it.
Yeah, I think it's cool. You know, usually the teams that aren't the best are typically featured unless it's a mid-season version like the Colts were. But
yeah,
you know, whatever. I'm willing to swallow the pill. Again, you know, I think it's interesting. You have a head coach who is a media darling. He's a quote machine. My goodness, we absolutely love him
Yeah.
for that. Gives us a ton to talk about. So it will be interesting. I'm open to it. I don't think, I think if Hard Knocks was along when Caldwell was here, or Patricia, I thought that would be very damning, and it would be actually hurt the franchise and the
Yeah.
fan base and just cause a bigger divide. But with this group, look, their communication's a lot better. They're not winning football games. Yeah, I totally understand that, and I'm someone who really holds you accountable based on winning football games and accomplishing things. I give Jim Caldwell hell. I don't think he was a good coach at all, and he had a winning record.
Yeah.
So it just shows that at the end of the day, we can like Brad Holmes, we can like Dan Campbell, we can like the roster, but you're going to have to eventually compete for that North title.
No,
You're eventually going to have to win a playoff game.
No, I love it. I love it, and I love what you're saying, because this is something that I'm big on, right? So last year, 2021, was all about establishing the identity, right? It was all about the culture, because I really believe that the biggest thing that Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia did here in Detroit was strip Detroit of any sort of identity. And really, we just became labeled as clowns. Like, we just were... God, we were just nameless. It really felt like we were abandoned.
Yeah.
And
no, I get it.
Yeah.
My question to you is, when was the identity and the culture established, in your opinion, or not even just that? When was it visually aware? When did you become aware that, oh, this is the identity. This is the identity of their football team.
Baltimore.
This is what they're going to be doing forward to find success. What game, what week, what was it?
It was Baltimore, week 3. When I saw Dan Campbell.
Really?
Yes, when I saw Dan Campbell.
Hated me.
When he rolled out and I'm watching him tear up regarding that loss and I'm listening to him, Adam, I was like, "Oh my God. This guy cares more than anybody's ever cared in this organization ever." Like, my mind was just blown. So I just sat there and watched him, and I went back, and you start watching film and you see the way the expression, the way the breath was pulled out of the air. So I guess it's in between weeks 3 and 4, because when we rolled back week 4 and I'm watching our guys play, I think that was Chicago. It was. It was. And we got, from what I remember, we looked pretty bad. But there was this feeling, this air about it, where it was like Dan Campbell was not going to let our guys give up and become numb. And that saying started to come out: you will not become numb to it. And so for me, it was the Baltimore game when I look back and I'm like, that's when things, you saw Detroit, where last year under Matty P, losing a game like that, I really think our guys would have just said, screw it for the rest of the season.
Yeah, shockingly, I completely disagree.
That's all right. Talk to me. When do you think?
For me, at least. I don't think Baltimore, if anything, Baltimore made me want to choke him out unconsciously, to be honest with you. Because to call a timeout when you had just gotten to the guy 3 straight plays, you were giving Lamar Jackson hell. Give them time to get their stuff together. You still call the wrong coverage. I wanted to kill myself that night. But anyways, for me, it was the Arizona game. Not so much that they won, because I didn't care that they beat Minnesota. Minnesota gave – thank you, Mike Zimmer, by the way. He gifted the Lions and Dan Campbell that first win. But the Arizona game, Jay, I saw them play 60 minutes of good football. I saw them put together a game plan that stifled the opposing team's offense, even though they were undermanned on defense. I saw an offense that just took advantage of the weakness of the Arizona Cardinals, which was their run defense, and they pounded the rock and pounded the rock. And that was the first time I was like, you know what? I can get behind that. I wanted to kill him the first 12, 13, 14 weeks, but I can get behind that because you showed me that, all right, we can do something. This is how we want to win football games. This is how we want to play the game of football. I see Cleveland playing in a very similar way. I see Indianapolis doing it in a very similar way. Baltimore. It took me up until the Cardinals game to say, you know what, Dan? Cool. Year 1, done. Cool, no problem. You can lose the rest of the games, no problem.
Wow, fascinating.
It was that game for me.
Okay, hey, that's a fair answer. That's a fair answer. especially when you look at Arizona, you go back to that, and here's this playoff run, playoff contender, like they're the best, whatever. And us just shutting down Kyler Murray and then listening to Rich Eisen or all these big time hosts talk about it, just being like, what the H happened? What happened? And seeing Detroit trample them, it was beautiful. I had to watch that game in a vehicle. I was driving for 10 hours. I'm watching it on a phone, and I was just going nuts in the car. That was a great game. Yeah. Hey, shout out to everybody in the chat. Ian Saunders. Adam, you're the best guest Jay has ever had. 3 beer mugs. Look at that. I told you you're getting love, my man.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. That's awesome. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Yes.
Guys.
Thank you, everybody in the chat, for liking the stream, for hanging out. All right, man. So, next thing on the list, I'm looking at 2024. The draft is coming to Detroit. When you heard that news, were you excited? Was it just like, oh, that's great for the city? All in all, how you feeling about that?
Oh, yeah, I think I was the same as everybody. Overjoyed, very excited. Obviously, selfishly, this is an amazing opportunity for everyone here at Woodward Sports, and of course, everyone that's out there creating Lions content. This is a big deal.
Yeah.
But more so for the city too. Look, it's a city that doesn't get enough credit. I've never felt that even the sports teams ever got enough credit.
Yeah.
We have the greatest hockey franchise ever. And I still don't feel like it ever got enough credit. And then the Tigers, never enough credit, even when we had some of the greatest teams in the mid-2000s. And then it was the Pistons going to work Pistons. Oh, well, the Lakers fell apart, and Kobe Bryant and Shaq. It's always been this never enough credit for Detroit. And then obviously there's the Lions hiding in the corner. Nobody wants to talk about them. But anyways,
yeah.
No, I was excited. I think it's amazing. I can't wait for it. I can't wait to see what everything in this whole landscape looks like, what the team looks like. Hopefully we're not picking in the top 3.
Dude, that's the hope. I'm hoping that we're 15 minimally. 15. Honestly, I think Detroit's poised for 2024 to be picking later in the draft. I really do.
Look, for me, just my personal preference, how I evaluate any head coach, it doesn't matter if I like him, hate him. By year 3, if you're not contending for the division, meaning you lose it by 1.5 games, 2 games at most, you can't be my head coach. You're useless.
Yeah.
If it took you 3 years and you still couldn't compete for the division, you got problems.
No, I think you're absolutely right. When it comes to year 3, you have to be competing for the North or whatever division you're in. In Detroit, I look at it, I'm like, by 2023, I really think that we will be competing for the North. I think we could very well. It depends, and this is hard. It's all speculation. But, like, I really believe that Detroit could take the North based on our trajectory and the NFC North as a whole. When you look at Green Bay, what's gonna go on there, their wide receivers, that's a situation. Chicago's rebuilding, and they're a year, 2 years behind at this point. And then you've got Minnesota, which is just, I don't know what's going on in Minnesota. It feels like,
I've got to say, Minnesota, I think, can run the North for the next 3 to 5 years if they get it right. I'm loving the head coach. I think Kirk Cousins is a capable quarterback. They've made some good signings. But the Packers, I think it's going to happen from now. 2025 to 2035, we're going to look at the Packers as bottom feeders in the North 6 out of those 10 years. They're going to get it. It's coming to them. You can't go back-to-back Hall of Famers and then go and get a third Hall of Famer. I'm sorry. Like, karma's got to catch up at some point.
It's got to
suck. They have to suck. They have to suck.
For just like, I just want 10 years. I want 10 years of Lambeau to just be distraught, minimally. Just, I feel like God's
I want there
got
to be a cheese shortage. I don't want to see anybody. I don't want to see anybody wearing a stupid cheese hat. It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. Cheese head. Oh my god. No wonder there's no owner. There's no billionaire that wants to attach his name to that franchise.
Nah, not when you're wearing cheese on your head. Absolutely not. All right, man. So next thing, obviously, Rod Wood talks about, this is just like, for me, I love uniforms. Within the first 2 minutes of any game, and it's probably the artist in me. It's I just have such a love for that. So uniforms, 2023, we're getting new ones. Are you pro or negative when it comes to black uniforms?
I am slightly pro. I am a big fan of the Thanksgiving Day unis. I
Oh,
think there needs to
yes.
be, yeah, those are the greatest jerseys in Detroit Lions history. Nobody can talk me off of it. I
Thank
think
you.
that is the cleanest look we've ever had. The all white jerseys on the road are slick, but God, when you suck, it just makes you look so weak. Uh, I don't mind the all black. I just never, when I think of Detroit, I don't think of the color black. I think of Ford, obviously, in the
Hmm.
blue. I think of manufacturing. I think of the assembly line. I think of hardworking people, blue collared Americans. That's what you think of. And I just don't know how I associate black. I kind of think it's like more Carolina Panthers.
Yeah.
Um, it's a slick jersey. And to be honest with you, if they brought it back in today's NFL with those color rush unis, all black, the material's different now, I'm sure it would absolutely kick ass.
Yeah.
But I'm not as in love with the previous, so to say.
No, I love it. You nailed it, dude. First of all, the Thanksgiving uniforms are chef's kiss. Those are my favorite ones. That's just like if I could buy Lions uniforms, like just jerseys for myself, each one would be in that. I think those are the best. The matte helmet, there's nothing on it. We just look so BA in those. And when it comes to, here we go, Robert Calamari, Thanksgiving uniforms, ride or die. That is absolutely correct. Is that C.S. Lewis as your avatar? You animal. Yeah, when it comes to the black uniforms, absolutely not. I think black and blue looks not, it just doesn't look like amazing together. And like you said, it looks like Carolina. And I'm really worried we're going to go with the black unis because of this grit, this black and blue mentality of like bruise them, bite their
I'm okay
kneecaps.
with maybe a charcoal with blue text and a gray silver outlining on the font. I'm okay with charcoal all the way across. It's interesting. I just don't think it's the Lions. I don't
Yeah.
associate the Lions that way. So
Yeah.
that one's tough
Okay.
for me. I love the Honolulu blue look. I know they suck, right? I know they've been sucking for 58 years, but it's still a damn good jersey.
Yeah.
It really is. Like you look around the league, there's some really bad ones.
Oh, yeah.
There really are. So I think the Lions at least have a top 12, top 14 logo slash jersey concept easily
Okay.
in the
All
NFL.
right. Hey, thanks
Yeah.
for humoring me when it comes to the unis. All right.
Look, man,
So,
I'm just as much of an artist as you. That stuff. I'm like ADD about
yeah,
color, font selection, scheme. It aggravates the hell out of me.
absolute. I'm with you, dude. Thank God. Because sometimes, I talk about it. People are like, "Why do you care, man?" And I'm like, "How could you not care? That's your look." All right. So, moving on here. Coming up, I wanted to talk about the draft as a whole. But before we do, Jack Johnson, Adam, what's up, bro? Got a lot of people saying, hey, in the chat. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I see all you guys in the chat. You're awesome. Thanks for liking the stream, for just hanging out with me and Adam as we're discussing a year in review and a year in the future. All right, my guy. For the draft this year, if you could have your way with the number 2 overall selection, who are you taking?
That's the golden question, right? That's where the draft of cocaine comes into play. If Aiden Hutchinson is not available, that's the caveat, right? If he is not available at number 2, I'm strongly considering Kayvon Thibodeau. I'm even willing to reach possibly on a Trayvon Walker. Um, at that point, if I'm the GM and I'm in that war room and we somehow come to a collective decision that Kyle Hamilton's the play, well, I'm probably committing mass murder and then killing myself if we do it. So that's what happens if I'm the GM.
Okay.
Either we take an edge rusher or they believe in a quarterback, or I'm done. I'm done.
Oh my God.
I don't know if I can handle Kyle Hamilton. I think honestly, I think I'll check myself into rehab for 2 weeks from the 29th into early June if they drafted Kyle Hamilton. I'm not prepared to do a live show every day, 2 hours a day.
Man, just
with
stay
that being
there
my
until
reality.
Hard Knocks starts. Just stay.
Oh my God, kill me.
Yeah,
I
no.
couldn't. It has to be an edge rusher. I look at the game. I don't want to say differently. I think everybody understands the game of football, but I understand what's working in the NFL right now. A few years ago, we were all clamoring over tight ends and the offensive line, and of course the young mobile quarterback.
Hmm.
But then the tight end no one's really talking about it right now. And 7 of the 8 division winners didn't feature a top 3, top 5 tight end. And you look at the wide receivers, 5 years ago, nobody wanted to pay them. Now they're getting paid. Where's the NFL going? What direction? I know that Aaron Donald can play in any era. Maybe Mike Allstott works in the early 2000s. He doesn't work right now. What position has the most value for my football team? Yes, you want to get the best player on the board. Yes, Kyle Hamilton is an absolute nut and a freak, but he's not helping my football team. My football team is not ready for Kyle Hamilton. What my team is ready for is an edge rusher. Kirby Joseph in the in the 3rd round possibly. Maybe you go Jaquan Brisker, Lewis Sine. I don't care who you're in love with. You do not take a safety at number 2 overall. It would be the ultimate same old Lions move. And to be honest with you, I'm just not ready to accept that reality.
Yeah, it would be a kind of a mind-blowing moment, especially after last year's draft. After seeing Brad Holmes knock it out of the park, there would just be this, like, I feel like a deer in the headlights moment for me, because I really do trust Brad Holmes so much. That's
the conflicting inner. That's what kills you on the inside, right? He selects Kyle Hamilton. I'm so vocal of how supportive I am of him.
Yeah.
But if he takes it, I'm like, Jesus Christ, how do I not kill myself? How do I not kill myself?
Yeah.
And that's just the unfortunate reality. And I would even flip it. If Jeff Okudah isn't hurt, and he's played all these years since we've drafted him, and let's say he's made an All-Pro, then what? How are you feeling today? You're not feeling really anything, because the team still isn't any better. He hasn't made a significant impact, even if he was an All-Pro corner. And on top of that, you're going to have to pay him.
Yeah.
And to pay a corner that, yeah, he's nice, but Jalen Ramsey can get paid in L.A. because he has Aaron Donald and Von Miller playing on the defensive front with Gaines, with Lloyd, and now with Bobby Wagner. It's just it's priority for me. Priority is the edge rusher. Yeah. You get that, I don't care. You can go out and spend $20 million a year on Marcus Williams, but you don't have a pass rush, and you've been bottom of the league for the last 6 to 8 years.
Yeah.
Priorities. That's just my thing.
No, I love it, dude. Thank you for bringing that all up. I think it's just astute. And to me, it's weird because, like, I just thought it was kind of a no-brainer. And it's, I start reading through comments and, like, different people and looking at other people's videos and reading through and listening. And all of a sudden I'm like, maybe this isn't a no-brainer. So I start to kind of check myself, because I'm with you. It's Aiden Hutchinson right off the bat, if he's available at 2. And if he's not available at 2, I'm going Thibodeau. I just am. And I think that edge rusher is something that we need desperately, a phenomenal edge rusher to apply that pressure on the QB, because he's going to make the job of the secondary that much easier, where you don't need the Kyle Hamilton type of, player in the back.
No, you're 100% right. And again, Kyle Hamilton is nice. He's a good player. I think he's going to be very good in the NFL. But you know what? 7 of the 10 best safeties in the NFL were selected after the first round. And if, Jay, this is how I always phrase the question. And I don't remember if I asked you when you were on the show, but if you could trade the number 2 overall pick for TJ Watt tomorrow on a rookie deal, would you do it?
100%.
Or not even on the rookie deal with him, let's say, and just a little bit younger, you would do it. If you would do it for young JJ Watt, you would do it. For Aaron Donald, you would do it. But if I told you go get Minka Fitzpatrick or Jamal Adams or Jesse Bates or who's the kid, Winfield in Tampa Bay, you wouldn't do it. You wouldn't do it for Marcus Williams. And that's just my whole thing is, even if Kyle Hamilton's a great player and he's all pro 3 times in his first 4 years, or 4 times in the first 7 years, he's still the number 2 overall pick. Are you getting me 70 career interceptions? And even if you do, Troy Polamalu, all those years, how many Super Bowls did they get to after that magical run? Oh, not many. None, actually. So, it's tough. When he was in the middle of his prime, and it never mattered because Brady would pick you apart. Any quarterback can pick you apart. Why? Because the wide receiver and the quarterback always know what the play is first.
Yeah.
Anticipation helps a ton, don't get me wrong, but you're at a disadvantage in today's NFL, and you can compare him to Sean Taylor, Ed Reed. You can be irresponsible. That's people's choices, but for me, edge rusher all day. Get to the quarterback is the best way to stop a quarterback.
Let's
Tom
go.
Brady is a golden example of it.
Let's go. That's what I'm talking about. All right, we got a question coming in from Lions fan, one Pauly LFP, directed at you, Adam. Adam,
All right.
do you want Baker Mayfield to come to Detroit?
You guys are assholes. I did not sign up for this. I'll put it this way. If the Lions ever traded for Baker Mayfield, I would be at Metro Detroit Airport making sure he never got to Allen Park. And I would go to jail for all of you. So you're welcome.
Yeah, you're doing everybody a favor. We appreciate it.
Yep.
You know, Baker's tough because, like, when I look at him, back when he was getting drafted, there was this part of me where I was like, oh, like, that's a guy I would love to come to Detroit. I loved the attitude. I loved, like, the swagger, the Conor McGregor. I was like, oh, he just fits our he fits our city. But, like, after watching him, it's specifically, from what I understand, it sounds like he was going to hold out this year. I'm like, that's not the attitude that I want from a player coming here. I don't want a guy who's willing to hold out on his organization. But that's just me.
I'm with you.
Yeah. All right. So here's one other thing before we end up going, because I don't want to hold you too long. Thank you for being here.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine, man.
All right. I saw the most interesting one, and I led off with it. Most interesting mock draft to me by Joel Klatt. Joel Klatt had the Detroit Lions at number 2 selecting Kyle Hamilton. But even more interesting to me is at number 32, he had the Detroit Lions selecting Malik Willis. What went through you did see that, because I know I saw the video of you talking about it. What went through your mind when you saw that?
I was confused because Kenny Pickett going number 20 to Pittsburgh was a bit of a surprise. Trayvon Walker goes number 3 to Houston. And in my mind, I'm trying to justify why would I take the safety over the guy that's projected in your mock to go number 3 and Trayvon Walker. I believe Thibodeau falls down to New York, the Giants, actually. So my mind was blown. I mean, the selfish part of me says, wow, you got a safety, the best one reportedly in the draft, along with your franchise guy with the 5th-year option at 32. That's a steal, technically. But I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate it. I would have preferred the edge rusher. And if there's a wicked reality, Malik Willis is available at 32 and they're in love with him, I mean, I'm not going to be upset about it.
Yeah. Now, see, that was what was interesting because to me, I was like, first of all, I find it wild that you have all these people talking about Malik Willis right after his pro day as number 2. He's the number 2 option. Detroit needs to take him at number 2, number 2, number 2, number 2, number 2, number 2, number. And I was just like, what is going on? And so, like, did everybody not watch his college film? Like I want to be very careful when I say this because I'm not hating on Malik Willis. I think there's a lot of raw talent and a lot of potential that if you can tap into it and hone in on it, he has a huge upside. However, you're going to Atlantic City and you're throwing the dice and it's just a gamble. It is a high risk, which could be a high reward. So seeing all these people saying Malik Willis at number 2, I was like, that's absurdity. However, seeing Malik Willis as a potential 32, I was like, well, now I'm fascinated and I am open to that as the decision.
It's interesting. And you know what? To be honest with you, if they went and took Malik at number 2, I can at least respect it, can I, Jay? Even if I don't agree. I don't have to agree.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
Well, they took the most valuable position and most wanted position in the NFL and the most valued contract, which is the rookie contract. They did that. I can't be upset, even though I disagree, even though I think there's more needs. But, yeah, Malik Willis is an interesting person right now. There's a lot of writers locally, sucking him off a little bit. And I just don't see the game film. So it's a little complicated.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And you know what? This is what's interesting. Blue and silver. Hey, what makes you think Malik Willis won't be Lamar Jackson? If he goes at 32, maybe he is Lamar Jackson. And
well, he's not that fast. I don't think he's Lamar Jackson fast. Lamar Jackson could fucking run in the Olympics. The dude is insane. Malik Willis is not that fast. He's a little chunky motherfucker. I mean,
he's a big boy.
6'1", 6'2". He's a big boy. He's hefty. I'm sure if he's running in the open field, it's a problem, but no Lamar Jackson. And I think he could be actually a better passer than Lamar Jackson. So I just think the
Yeah.
Lamar Malik Willis thing, I just think it's irrelevant.
Okay. Yeah. No. And this is what's interesting is I think the most fascinating part to me about Malik Willis in this mock draft falling to 32 is simply you have all these people talking about him as, oh, he's the best selection for QB. And like you said, Kenny Pickett goes at 20 to Pittsburgh. Just like a weird thing to say. So then Malik Willis is not the Best quarterback. And Joel Klatt, I think if anybody knows what they're talking about, it's Joel Klatt.
And Joe Klatt, look, man, he called Joe Burrow. And when I look at Kenny Pickett, I see a guy that comes into the NFL and contributes right away. Now, does he have a high ceiling? That's always the question. We're going to ask this every year for the next 50 years as long as we're alive. Who knows? But yeah, that's always the thing. And you take the guy that you're in love with the most.
Okay. I love it. I love it, dude. Thank you for your thoughts on it. I was wondering how you were feeling. One other thing for you. There's talk about TJ Hawkinson and that 5th-year extension. As a whole, how are you feeling about TJ Hawkinson with Detroit?
My thoughts on TJ Hawkinson are he has been a disappointment so far. He's been very disappointing. He came out of the gate against Arizona, and my goodness, looked like the next Travis Kelce, Tony Gonzalez, and it was the greatest thing ever. And ever since, you've been dying for some resemblance of that moment. He caught a nice touchdown in the first quarter against Green Bay early on this year. A nice, I want to say it was a red zone fade. He can play, man. He can play. He's got the talent. He's got so much upside. He just can't stay on the field. And that's why I compare him to Eric Ebron, even though, again, I think we all agree Hawkinson has way more upside. He's much more skilled. He's much more talented. He can run block much better. But at the end of the day, both have played 40 games in their first 3 years. Both have, I want to say, God, off the top of my head, TJ Hawkinson has 1,597 yards or 1,653, somewhere in between the two.
Yeah.
And Ebron has 1,497. And they're about 150-yard difference in between the two. That's not much. TJ Hawkinson, 12 touchdowns. Eric Ebron, 7. 5 touchdown difference, not much. It's disappointing is the word. I don't want to call him a bust, but he's been disappointing.
Yeah, no, I think disappointing is a very good word. Specifically, like, I look at last year, and I've said this before on my channel, is, man, there was just so many penalties. Penalty. I saw so many yellow flags go up against that guy that I'm like, how do you not have the discipline yet to not jump? Or the holds, and constantly disappointing me where I'd be like, how is it Hawkinson? How is it Hawk who's making this mistake? I feel like you need to be better than where you are. And I really believe he could be there, he can get there. And I'm like, is it just because he knows that he has the tight end position locked down and that we had no receivers, that it was just kind of like, I can do what I want and just gotta...
That's his attitude, then you got to get rid of him, because Travis Kelce wasn't thinking that way. And Travis Kelce worked his way to the top, and so there's Dawson Knox, and he wasn't even the one not too long ago. So, yeah, look, if TJ Hawkinson has a work ethic issue,
right? I'm not saying he does. Yeah. I'm just saying.
I know, but I'm going off the possibility that if that is his mindset, I'd be very disappointed.
Yeah, no, I got you. Hey, everybody, thank you for liking the stream, for hanging out. I see we got 80 people just hanging out with us. Adham of Woodward Sports Network, just dishing it, hanging out with me here. He has been incredible to me all the time. So it's really great to having you, Adham. Last thing I just want to ask before we dip out of here. All in all, Detroit Lions future. Looking at this season, 2022 is coming up. Record prediction. You're way too early. Record prediction.
Way too early record prediction.
Yeah. You're not held to this.
You're an 8-9 football team this year.
Wow.
I think 8-9, and that's with me banking on that they're gonna find some good football players in the draft, of course. 2 first-round picks, an early second. You have the compensatory at 97. They're going to get some good football players. And
Yeah.
I would be, again, I'm going to use the word disappointed if they can't finish the season with 8, 9 wins. If they go to 6, I'll live with it. But I'm not seeing, Sean McVay, Matt LaFleur. I'm not seeing that young up-and-coming coach coming in and making immediate impact with Dan, even though I saw it with Schwartz where he went 2 wins, 6 wins, 10 wins. That's kind of the train I'm going to allow Dan Campbell to work on. But, oh, man, anything under 6 wins I think would be a total disaster. It has to be a minimum of 6, and I think they can get to 9.
Yeah, no, I agree. I have them projected in that same boat right now. I'm calling 7 and 10. However, there's a bunch of games in there that I'm like, that's you could win that one. Like our schedule, I think bodes in our favor in a lot of ways, and so
very easy schedule.
It compared to last year we had like the 6th toughest.
Last
this year
the fourth hardest based on win total last year.
Unbelievable. So like you look at that, I'm like, yeah, I feel good about playing the AFC East. Obviously not the Bills, but I feel pretty good about the East. I feel good about the NFC East. Like I think Detroit's got an opportunity here to maybe squeak a wild card. I'm saying no playoffs this year. I think we just fall short, but I think it's a possibility. But anyways, Adam, thank you for coming on, man. I don't know if there's anything else that you wanted to talk about before we go. I don't want to just,
Hey, your show. You dictate, man. I'm here as long as you need me.
All right. Well, then one question for you. The Detroit Lions,
I'm with you.
They select Hutchinson at 2. Let's just say, praise God, we select Hutchinson at 2. What do you want for 32-34?
Hutchinson at 30. You get Hutchinson 32-34. If I get that guy, I think I'm going to possibly trade up in the first round and get a wide receiver. If I get Hutchinson and possibly Thibodeau. If I get one of the two, I think I'm going to be bold. If not, though, let's just keep it at 32-34. It's tough. I'm either looking to trade out of that 5th-year option and give it to somebody who's willing to give me a little bit more, or I'm taking – God, the safety's always an option there, but hell, I might double down on edge. Or I reach for Leo Chenal. Depends what his value is. 32, I think, is so tricky. At 34, I know what I'm doing. I'm grabbing the linebacker, right?
Yeah.
I'm going Leo Chenal. Nobody can talk me off of it unless I can't get him at 34 and I have to take him at 32. But even beyond that, that 32 selection, that could be a quarterback, Jay. Could be the quarterback you want. Who knows? It could be a Matt Corral, Desmond Ridder, the 5th-year option on a quarterback. That's still a possibility. Yeah. If you get the edge rusher, I really don't have an answer at 32.
Okay.
You have so many options. You can trade it back and get value. You can select a quarterback and have the 5th-year option. You can use that pick to trade up to go and get a wide receiver, or you don't do any of that and you take a safety. You possibly take a corner. I don't see it, though. I'm not taking a lineman. It's got to be linebacker, safety, or edge.
I agree with you, man. I like Daxton Hill. I think he'd be a phenomenal fit, if available. I think he should be available at 32 or 34, really. And I think it would be very fascinating to see Detroit select a 32 quarterback. That would be, at that point, I'm like, all right, at least we waited until 32. We used LA. We snagged that QB. And if it's somebody that Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell look at and they're like, we like him and we want him to sit under Goff, at that point, I'm all about it. But hey, dude, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. Can't thank you enough. Absolutely. This has been meaning to have this happen for a while now. And for everybody else hanging out in the chat, thank you for being here. I'm going to close this session out with the one, the only Aesop's Fables. Well, our time has come to an end once again. And with that being said, we're going to close out today's live stream with yet another Aesop's Fables. We're going to read through this whole darn book, that's for sure. Today we will be reading The Wolf in Sheep's Clothing. Can you guys see that? Probably not. It's a little dark. Pretend you're going to sleep and your eyes are being closed and I'm just wisping you away to dreamland. The Wolf in Sheep's Clothing. A wolf resolved to disguise himself in order that he might prey upon a flock of sheep without fear of detection. So he clothed himself in a sheepskin and slipped among the sheep when they were out at pasture. He completely deceived the shepherd, and when the flock was penned for the night, he was shut in with them. But that very night, as it happened, the shepherd, requiring a supply of mutton for the table, laid his hands on the wolf, mistaking him for a sheep, and finished him off with his knife on the spot. Harm seek, harm find. Well, there you have it, my friends. Thank you for hanging out with me once again on Let's Talk Lions, and thank you for sticking around for Fable Time with Jay. That's just a workshop. We'll really come up with something here that's better. But maybe that's it. Drop your thoughts in the comments. What is this time called? So I think at this point, hopefully, you have fallen asleep. In which case, this will just keep playing. So right-click the video, hit loop, and just keep running it so that I make a little bit more money. Because that's fun for everybody. And then, okay, yeah, no, this is done.